Hello again, I'm Adam from Carpe Omnis game, designer of No Honor Among Thieves, and this is part 3 of our How to Play series. Here we are talking about scheme cards and characters, and the different abilities that they have. This video should be pretty short because this is fairly simple. There are a number of different scheme card types that affect when you can play them. 5, to be precise. There are logistics cards, which may only be played during logistics actions. These are generally more powerful things than other cards, and you can play a lot of them at once if you have, a lot of them in your hand. So they require an action to use. They're an investment. There's also active cards, which you don't have to take an action to use, but you can only do on your turn. Let me see if I can find an example real fast. Here we go. Street Leech. Active, unexhaust a character. Normally, unexhausting a character, you have to take the rest action. Or you can play the Street Leech and do it on your turn without it costing an action. You've hired the Street Doctor to unexhaust your character for you. Now, you can play active cards on your turn normally or on your turn during complications, which we'll get to when we talk about heists in the next video. Stay tuned. Now the next type of cards are complication cards. These you use to throw hitches into other people's plans or boost your own plans. During every heist, there's a complications phase. You can only play complications scheme cards on your turn during a complications phase of a heist. There are also reaction scheme cards, which you play in response to something else happening. For example, there's the Crooked Magistrate card. Prevent a character from being arrested. At any point when a character has been arrested, you may play Crooked Magistrate and say, no, he isn't. Discard the card to the scheme card discard pile and keep the character from being arrested. Doesn't have to be your character, can be anyone's character. You can accept a bribe in exchange for playing the Crooked Magistrate, that sort of thing. Just understand that you can only play a reaction card immediately after whatever you're reacting to has happened. If a character is arrested and then something else happens, someone else plays a card, or the turn passes to, or someone else stages a heist, or someone takes another action on their turn, you cannot react to an event before that. You can only react to the immediately previous event. There's no stack. This isn't Magic the Gathering. The last type of scheme card are Moment of Truth cards. Now, these you play also only during heists, during the Moment of Truth phase. These are things such as betrayal. You're betraying your fellow thieves and taking the money. Or paranoia. You expect to be betrayed and take steps against it. We'll talk about these more when we talk about heists in the next video. Stay tuned. Now, one symbol you might see on a lot of cards is a symbol of two little squares. Looks like this. See that? That's supposed to be 2 dice. When you see that symbol, it's meant to be in place of a number. So what you do is you take both dice, roll them, and then pick which die you want. You don't get both dice, you get the better one. And then you have a number equal to the number of daggers on the die. Sometimes you will get no daggers and your card is wasted. Sometimes you will get no daggers and 1, no daggers and 2. An X in this case doesn't mean anything. X's are used on different dice rolls. But whenever you roll the dice for this, roll 2, pick usually the higher is what you want. We're going to move on to characters right now. Now, characters can have several different states. Characters can be in the recruitment pool, in which case they can't really be touched by anything. Now, characters aren't in the recruitment pool. They're either in your crew, on a heist, in jail, or dead, which is in the graveyard. Now, characters in your crew or on a heist can be exhausted by various effects. For example, there is the Enforcer, who has an ability that exhausts other characters. Using different characters' abilities often exhausts that character. The Alchemist, using the Alchemist's ability to give someone else a skill point in something, exhausts the Alchemist. Now, a character can go on a heist and then become exhausted on the heist, and that does not prevent them from finishing the heist. Having a character be exhausted means you cannot send that character on a heist. You cannot use that character's abilities. And if they become exhausted by something, for example, the Magus is exhausted and someone with the Enforcer uses the Enforcer to punch the Magus is double exhausted and they get taken out. If honor has not yet been broken, then they go to jail. If honor has been broken, they go to the graveyard. I'll get to the Code of Honor in the next video. Stay tuned for that. Now, characters in the jail and graveyard cannot be exhausted. As soon as they go to the jail or the graveyard, they become unexhausted. They're just in the jail or the graveyard. The next thing you need to know about characters is that they often have abilities. Every character has a different ability, in fact. All of them are unique, except for the cost 0 characters, who there's a lot of the same character repeated so that people can have something to quickly refill their crew with. But most characters have special abilities. Now, some of them are just normal passive abilities. For example, the Smuggler. Increase your hand limit by 1 scheme card while you have the Smuggler in your crew. That's very straightforward. Some of them are a little more complicated. For example, the Alchemist has this little clock with a lightning bolt symbol through it. That means that this is an active ability, which means you need to exhaust the character in order to use it. Now, there are some abilities that have a little spark of fire next to it. That means that is a reactive ability. You play reactive abilities whenever you could play a reaction scheme card. So immediately after something else has happened, in other words. You exhaust the character, and then whatever effect it has happens. Active abilities you can only do on your turn. Reactive abilities you can do whenever. You can interrupt other people's turns with them. As long as you're reacting to whatever the requirement is. It'll say on the card. For example, the Pickpocket reaction ability takes place when a heist is ended. You can take coins from someone who has successfully completed a heist. So you're basically stealing a portion of their share with your Pickpocket. Active abilities, again, you can only do on your turn or on your turn during complications. Some abilities are marked in red with a broken dagger icon. Those abilities you can only use after the Thieves' Code of Honor has been broken by one player betraying another, which happens during heists, which we will get to in the next video. Stay tuned.